Alright, so this is what I have. This is the dream. Okay, it's just one little tiny building with lots of stuff to texturize. So, to get started with this, we have to learn how the pipeline works. You've already got a building and you've already got windows. Okay, those two assets are done. In fact, if you look on the ground here, I also have these wood pieces. And because things aren't quite organized, it's lost its texture. Okay? So that's what we have to prevent. That's one major drawbacks of this whole thing is the fact that if we are not organized, things start to fall apart. Now, Blender does have a built-in game engine. We can view this just by hitting P on the keyboard. But not, okay, I don't know any actual game engines that have the modeler built inside it. Okay, so usually a game engine just controls the assets or holds the assets together and allows you to use your keyboard, mouse to navigate within the world. And you can write scripts for it. Blender does all that. It's a modeling package, it's an animation package, it's a rendering engine, and then it's got a game engine built into it. What I want to get used to is the actual thing where there's a pipeline. So this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be texturing out this scene. Okay, you've already got the building and you already got the windows. Now, where do you get the other stuff? Don't worry about it just yet. It is actually on the lesson files in a folder called Assets. So if you look here under, I'll show you what it looks like on the DVD. And if not the DVD, the web is going to have a little thing right below the video that shows you where you can get these things. Alright, so here I have a lesson file directory and an assets directory, and there I have these. I got the inspiration from this picture, so I'm going to just go like this. This is a general store. I like the color scheme, I like all the little things. I just changed it up a little bit to make it a little bit more user-friendly for new students that are just getting into 3D. So that's kind of what I modeled it after. Now what we're going to do is bring in these as we go, and then I'm going to explain what they are and how they function, because we have to get over a concept called reusable assets. Reusable assets allows a person that is modeling to use that same asset within other regions of a map or world. It's a very cool concept in the fact that we don't model a whole city as part by part, like building by building. We actually make parts that fit together to build a city. Okay, we're not going to build a city, but we're going to look at that same workflow on something very small and how it goes along. It helps you preserve texture space, and it helps keep the engine running real lean, because what happens is if you have one object that has an instance of like 12, so I bring in a pop can within Unity. Okay, it doesn't matter if I duplicate that 200 times. That pop can is a pop can and it has a texture. It's just using it 200 times. Now, if I had 200 pop cans that are individually textured with different kinds of materials, that's when things slow down. So what we have to do is think about reusable assets. Something small that we can duplicate over and over again that shares the same texture over and over again and the same modeling structure over and over again. Alright, well, we're going to be using an OBJ format for this. So you'll need just this, a building with windows. So I'm going to turn all this other stuff off. There's a window small and a window large. We want those because we were done with those two. You can see there's all kinds of these meshes. I'll explain how all this works. Lamp. So this is where we left off. You have a building. It's like this. We're going to eventually put a door here, so I would say now is the time to get rid of this face. Tab. X faces. X faces. So we're going to start by exporting this object out. File, export, wavefront object. And I have this 3-tiered system on my hard drive in my desktop. Work in progress, clean assets, and game. I'm cleaning some assets. So I'm already going to step 2. This one is called building. And if I always had any other buildings, I would name them building 1 through 10 or something like that. So I'm just going to put that building underscore 1. I want selection only. Turn off all this stuff except for UVs and materials. And I hit export. Alright, let's go to our 3-tiered system here. And what I'm going to do is click close all those Internet Explorers and just get my 3 primaries. Okay, here's Unity Workflow. This is the work in progress one. Now I right click, go here, and I'll do that again. This time I'm going to go to the second one, Unity Workflow, Game, Clean Assets, and just minus that one. And then next, I'm going to do one more. The next one I'm going to state game. And this is my assets directory. Okay, minus that one. There. Now I can go to every step. Set up a nice workflow. You'll be all right. I'm cleaning assets, so that means I'm going to go in here and look for the material file. And I'll open this up. We studied this back in the last chapter, how we clean up these OBJs. The same thing stands true here. I like to keep my OBJs nice and clean so I can use them no matter what program I'm in. Oops. Delete. Delete. There we go. That looks much better. And I'll save this out. Now I need these 2 textures in order for this to work. So File, Save. And I'll close that out. A lot of these textures are in a 4th place on my hard drive. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to introduce one 4th place. And this 4th place is going to be my server. So you don't have this one. Okay, again, that is brick, color map, and normal map. So I'm going to copy these and I'm going to move them over to the clean assets directory and paste them in. Now I have everything needed for the buildings to have their brick. Okay. Copy this over to my next step, which is game. Here's my assets folder, and paste them in. Alright, now what happens is if you go back to Unity, you're going to find that they're in your project folder. So here's your project folder, and it automatically did everything for me. Building 1 has materials, and there's this thing called default. Okay. If I don't want this to be called default, I can quite easily go over to Blender and start a process of a naming convention. So in this case, it is building, and I think it's the default mesh, if I remember right. Yeah, that's right. So there's no real way to get rid of default. You can rename it. And that's located up here. Okay, building 1 is the actual thing that you're going to be physically touching. Alright, click and drag out. That was pretty easy, right? I didn't have to do much because I had a clean OBJ and a clean MTL file. I'm going to establish a ground plane, so I'm going to go game object plane, just to keep everything nice and neat. You notice you can see through the mesh. Okay, this is one of the things that we're going to have to repair or fix or do something with the interior of. Next, let's go get the windows. They're the same spiel. If I highlight one window, like the large one, I can go File, Export, Wavefront Object. Okay, in this case, I want to go to Clean Assets, Selection Only, turn off everything but UVs and materials, and this is going to be called Window Large, and I'll export that out. Now, Window Large, if you look at the MTL file, it's calling for window large period TGA. Okay, I don't need any of this stuff. I just need the window large period TGA, and I'll file save that out. I'm going to go to my 4th place and look for window large. Here it is. I'm going to copy that and put it in my clean assets. Why am I making a clean assets and a project? Later on, if I ever want to use these things again, I can. Reusable assets. Okay, copy these and move them over to my game assets. And then back to Unity, where it automatically updates. Here's my window large. Here's the mesh. Click and drag it out, automatically loads, and I can position it in place. Alright, now that we've looked at the workflow between let's look at things that need to be changed in the next video.